Okay. Hi, everybody. Hey, happy Wednesday. It's Crystalline here, and my apologies for being late. I was having a really nice discussion with a woman. We were talking about her participation in the program, and I want to dive right in. So my name is Crystalline Bell, just in case you didn't know that. Hey, everybody. Um, Welcome to the League of Badass Butterflies, and welcome to this last and final bonus day of Spiritual Life Coach Boot Camp. And I want to take the time today to talk to you about my certification program, which is called Spiritual Life Coach Certification for Badass Butterflies. This is a program for women who want to become spiritual life coaches and who have questions. And today's session is for those of you who have questions about the program and about being a spiritual life coach in general. Now, I just got off a call with a beautiful woman who is really interested in my program. She is very much in her divine feminine and a woman of ideas and designs and just so much, so open. And you can see it in her face, so beautiful and clear. And, and she has so many magical gifts. She's got the magical gift of compassion, of intuition. She's also got those magical gifts of clear communication. She has the magical gift of writing. And what I want to do is be able to support her in becoming, in her dream to become a spiritual life coach. And what she needs is the divine masculine structure that is going to support her divine feminine qualities and give them a home, okay? And that's what spiritual life coach certification for badass butterflies does. It gives your brilliant ideas a safe, reliable, and consistent home to be able um, to actually give birth, to be able to give birth to the things that to give birth to your ideas so that they're not just in your head, they're not just all talk, and you're not following through, but you're actually doing the work to give birth to them, okay? That's what spiritual life coach certification for badass butterflies does. It gives you an opportunity to actually give birth to your great ideas. So one of the questions that I want to start off with for our Q&A, I want to start off asking you all, or rather answering that question that my client and I just, or potential client and I just discussed. And that is, what do you do if you have children, young children at home, and you want to build your business, okay? Now, believe it or not, in my program, there are a number of women who have children from that are very young, as well as children who are older. One of our students currently enrolled has two children. One is 2 years old and the other one is 4 years old. And so how do you build a coaching business while you have young children? And the answer is with a lot of patience, okay? It's with a lot of patience, and it's going with the flow, honoring yourself, honoring the fact that you have children and that they are going to be running around and they're going to interrupt. With this particular client, her name is Coletta, or this student who's currently enrolled in the program. She is another beautiful mama with these two gorgeous children, and every time we sign on, every single time we sign on, these gorgeous children say hi. You know, they come in and they say hi to me, and they're crawling all over their mom. And it's cute. You know, what are we going to do? Not build her business? Of course we're going to build her business, and of course she's going to need extra time, and of course I'm going to be flexible with her as she is, you know, if she's needing to make changes and to adjust. So I think that the answer to the question, how do you build a business when you have small children at home, is the answer is with patience, and by understanding that maybe you're going to need time, by not setting up unrealistic expectations, right? It's not going to take you just 10 months to get through the program. Maybe it's going to take you 12, and maybe instead of going, you know, thinking that you're going to show up to every morning class, maybe we need to schedule your classes for the evening, you know, or maybe we need to, um, you know, maybe like I've had clients, these are clients from my own practice. These these people, these women have had their sessions in their closets, okay? And I remember the first time I saw this was years ago. Um, a woman she was sitting down, okay? She's sitting down on the floor, and I saw coats hanging over her head. I'm like, is that a coat hanging over your head? And she said, yeah, I'm in the closet. Like, what is going on? And she's like, yeah, this is where I go when I need quiet, and I want to focus and concentrate. I come into my closet and it feels good. And this is what I understand, you know, that moms have to do. So, having learned that, I'm extremely supportive of people who do that. Hey, Rhonda, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining today. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Rebecca. It is not, where is it morning? Oh, it's morning in the United States. Good morning, United States. It's evening here in France, and it's the dead of night in the Philippines where Rebecca is. Hi, everybody. Um, right, so I have a list of questions that were submitted, and I've taken these from you all over the course of the challenge that we've been doing the last week, okay? So, okay, I'm just gonna go down the list, all right? So the first question that I got, and I'm so sorry I didn't write down your names for the people who asked these. I didn't think about that. I just wrote down the question, and so I have a list here. So the question is, do I need a certificate to be a spiritual life coach? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on where you're operating, all right? If you are in the United States, you do not necessarily need a certificate in order to be a life coach, but it really does depend even on your particular state. The United States tends to be a little bit more liberal and generous with the new business owners than, for example, Europe or Asia. In Europe, you definitely need to have some kind of a certification in order to become a spiritual life coach. But in the United States, you definitely do not. Now, here's what I understand about being a spiritual life coach. This is from my own experience. Number one, you're dealing with people's lives. You're dealing with their emotions. You're dealing with their heartache, their pains, their hopes, their dreams, their wishes. You probably want to get some kind of a certification so that you actually are trained formally in how to deal with people's dreams, hopes, fears, pains, wounds, etc. Because those are not things that you should take lightly. And if you have not ever done this kind of work before, then you definitely want to have some kind of a certification. Also, you know, if you have a healthy ego, you have an ego that's going to question you. You are going to question yourself and say, am I really qualified to help this person? Am I really qualified to help you do that, to be doing this? A certification, a formal certification, is going to give you the power to feel confident about yourself and to feel confident about what you're offering, okay? Now, people have asked also, and I'm going to just build on this, and actually I'm going to keep up here. People have also asked, is spiritual life coach certification for badass butterflies, is it accredited? And it is not accredited because I don't want it to be. In order for me, the whole reason I became a spiritual life coach, spiritual being the key word, is because I wanted to be able to use my intuition above all things when I am coaching someone. I do not want to be held back or told that I cannot do something by a school or a certification board that feels that it has more authority over me and the the teachings that I find to be valuable, my own spiritual philosophy, and my woo-woo. For me, the thing that certifies me, that the thing that gives me authority is God, okay, and my experience. And number one, my client. When if I say something to my client and it doesn't resonate, then my client is going to say that doesn't resonate. That has happened on very few occasions with me because number one, I'm very well trained. I am well trained because I train myself, and that is also what I do for you as a badass butterfly spiritual life coach, and make sure that you go deep, right? The other reason is that I have tremendous experience in pain and hardship. All right. That experience that we have as wounded healers, as wounded warriors, this is real, and this gives us tremendous depth of experience. But of course, just having experience in pain does not qualify you to help someone. But having tremendous depth in pain and studying and researching and creating deep work that you learn, that you do the work to see how to help people. When you do that, you are creating true authority for yourself, and you can feel it and you can see it as well when you engage deeply in creating excellent content for your community. Your community feels it, and your students see it. And if you watch the video on Sunday, we'll put a link in there at some point. I had three of my currently enrolled students came onto the line, and they talked about what they're doing in the program. And yeah, I think I've already said this. Sorry, guys. But, just they are really, really appreciating the depth, and it's awesome to watch them develop their their strength and their authority. Whereas they were all over the place before, whereas they were doubtful of themselves before, they are stepping into their true power and standing on their own 2 feet, doing this work as real life authorities. And they've earned it. They've earned that. Now, let's see. So, okay, so I'm going to try to speed things up too. How much does it cost to have an online business? What are some of the extra fees I have to pay to get started? So, one of the beautiful things about running an online business that's different than a brick and mortar business is that with a brick and mortar business, like a place, like if you went and opened an office, you have to pay your rent on the office, you have to buy your furniture, you have to pay for things like cleaning, having a professional come in and clean the place, scrub it down, all this kind of thing. Depending on what you're going to be doing in your office, And you know, renting an office space can run you anywhere from $500 a month to to $2,000 a month. I remember for my when I had my wellness studio, and this was a large facility. I think it was about 800 or 900 square feet, which is, you know, it's a nice size. And we had 3 treatment rooms and a tea room and an office. I had my own office. Um, you know, we had a kitchen, bathroom, boutique area. So for me, that was about $3,000 a month. That was the first $3,000 a month I had to pay. You know, the first $3,000 I made had to go toward paying the rent, and then of course the insurance and all this kind of thing, and then licensing, all that sort of thing. The wonderful thing about working in your own business and working from home is that you get to leave out all those overheads. You know, what you pay for your rent is, you know, goes as part of your tax write-off. It's one of your tax benefits. You know, you're gonna, if you have an extra office in your house, you're paying for that anyway. So, you know, it actually ends up saving you, feeling like you're saving quite a bit of money. But the other expenses you have are just basically for running your website, keeping your subscriptions going for things like Zoom, any advertisements that you're going to have, any kind of software that you're going to use to run your programs, any software you use for client contacts like your calendar, things like that, any email softwares that you use, those are also a part of building up your business. So depending on your level, you should be expecting, just to run your business every month, you should be expecting to spend anywhere from $300 up to, I mean, at the level where I am, well, okay, at my level, and I've been at this for 12 years, and obviously I have quite an enterprise, and I have staff, you know. So my business overheads start at $8,000 a month. So, you know, that's normal though, because that's where you grow. That's just called growth. It's not a big deal, but when you're starting out, you want to keep your overheads as low as you possibly can. And as you grow, as you develop, and as your clientele grows, of course, you're going to start needing staff. So you're going to hire your first virtual assistant, and you know, and you're going to get all the things that they need. So yeah, all right. I hope that's helpful. And I'm so sorry I didn't write down the names to call you all out and say, hey, I'm answering your question. That would have been helpful so that I could tag you as well. Um, how do I travel and work as a life coach? Um, yeah. So, in my opinion, coaching and traveling are done based on your planning. So no matter what you do as a life coach, whether you're going to do your office, do your home office, whether you're going to rent a space, rent an office, you know, you need a business plan. So if you're going to want to travel and be a life coach, as I did for many for I'm still currently doing it, right? So I've been a nomadic, what is it called? A nom what is it called when an entrepreneur travels? Not a travelpreneur. I can't think of the name, but I've been doing that since 2013. So that's 9 years. Like right now, I'm still in Airbnb. So, so you make your plan, and you include things that you need. Like again, you make your business plan, you include, you know, you make out a schedule of where you're going to travel over the course of, let's say, 2 or 3 years. Okay, you have to think through where you're going to live and how you're going to live. You also have to, so let's say you make a 3-year plan and you're like, okay, I'm going to go and live in Asia for 6 months. I'm going to live in South America for 6 months. Then I'm going to go to Europe for 6 months. Then I'm going to go, Thank you, Jenna. Digital nomad. Thank you, Jenna. I wanted to say a nomadpreneur, an entrepreneurmad, but no, that was not it. Thank you, Jenna. A digital nomad is the word. But my point being that as you are creating your business plan, you just write out all of your expenses. And this is something that we need to talk about in the group more, which is basically how do you earn, like, how do you make a business plan? How much money do you need in order to, like, how do you budget your life and budget your business? And how do you determine how much to charge for all your classes, for all the things that you offer and these kinds of things? Those are what you have to have in place. You must think about those things before you set out to just go become a life coach and who's going to be traveling. You really need to think it through, especially if you're going to be traveling with and pets and or children, right? You've got to think about how you're going to manage your, educating your children, um, homeschooling them, or as one of our people did, they moved to Spain, sold everything, moved to Spain, found a beautiful villa. Sorry, they did not sell the house. My apologies, got that wrong. They they found a renter for their house. Actually, they set their house up to be rented through an agency for traveling nurses. So there's an agency that is managing the rental on their house for traveling nurses, right? So now that gives them additional income to support them while they're building this new life, okay? And it allows them to, so then they move to Spain with the kids, the dog and the cat. They are settling there. So they arranged to do a 1-year visa. They'll have to renew their 1-year visa, okay? And what they did was they enrolled their kids in Spanish school. And I mean, in a school for, in a regular Spanish school. And they're like, okay, you're going to learn Spanish the hard way. I thought it was the hard way, but they did it and they are having success and everybody is over there speaking Spanish. So there you go. So my point is that um, planning is everything when you are looking at becoming a spiritual life coach and wanting to travel. Understanding how much it costs to, flights, um, looking at visas, like the ability to travel from one country to the other. What are the restrictions, right? So planning is really going to be an important part of building your business based on travel as a spiritual life coach. All right, let me see what the next question is. I realize as I'm sitting here that I could teach a whole class on each one of these, and maybe I'll do that um, over the course of the year. Let's see. So the next question was, how do you coach? How do you coach more than one person if they all have different needs? In a group, how do you coach so many people at a time if they're all different? Okay, I think this was two different questions that came in about the same thing. I'm kind of mixing them, but the question is basically like, how do you coach different people if they are in your group? And like all these different people with different needs in one group. Okay, so first of all, when someone comes into your group for coaching, they aren't all different people that have nothing in common. They are people who have something in common. It is the pain that you help heal and their desire to have the outcome that your program offers. So they are not different people. I mean, yes, they're different people, but they aren't like totally different people. They're not scattered energy, they're not random. They are all there because of the thing that is common to them, which is the pain that they have and the transformation that they want. Now, you have to design your group coaching program that gives, you have to know who your ideal client is, and you build your program based on your ideal client. But as a coach in the program, you have to create a system to help you help them. So for me, with all of my people, I have group coaching, and then I have different, everybody has a folder, everybody has the thing that they're working on, and so I'm aware of everything that everyone is working on. And what I also do is I offer office hours during the week so that people can come in and get what it is they need every single week. I hope that makes sense. So if I have a class, so some of my classes are quite large. So if I have a 13-person class, that means, and so 13 people, those people can always book time to see me for something specific or particular that they need. So again, the answer to this question is you need to structure your program and your offerings in a way that allows you to accommodate the different people that are in your group, but to accommodate the different people that are in your group. Okay? All right. I hope that makes sense. Oh, and the other part of my answer to that is there shouldn't be vastly different people in your group, okay? The people who are in your group are your ideal client, or they're somewhere hovering around your ideal client archetype. So if they are hanging around your ideal client archetype, when you talk to one, you're talking to them all. And I've seen this time and time again. Like, I'll say something, and out of that group of 13 people, all of them are going, uh-huh, right? Like, I get that. There's nobody that's going, huh, that's not me at all, okay? It rarely happens, okay? So that's something to keep in mind when you're creating your program. Let's see. Okay, here's a good question. I saw other coaching programs that will certify me in 3 months. Why is yours, why is yours 10 months long? So why is my program 10 months long? Okay, so my program is complete. A coaching program that is only 3 months long is not teaching you everything you need to know about coaching and about building your business and about running your business, creating content, making videos, building your website, running your blog, setting up your Facebook group. Is not physically possible to do all of that in 3 months unless you are already advanced and you have all of that stuff done already. Like if you if you already have a program, like you're already certified as a life coach, you've already been working with people and you just need some quick structural stuff, you can do that in 3 months. But I guarantee you there's no way that you're learning how to coach people, you're learning how to create powerful content, you're creating a program, okay, a complete transformational program, you're setting up your menu of services, you're creating your entire marketing platform for a year, you're creating all your content for 6 months out, setting up your Facebook group. You're not doing all of that in 3 months. There's no way. 10 months is already a lot. I mean, is already a short amount of time. People who are not working can go through my program and have gone through it in 6 months, but these were people who were already advanced. They were social workers, they were already life coaches doing this, they already had a client base, they already had an email list, right? because that's another thing you have to do. And that takes me into that next question, the one I kind of skipped. I thought I was going to avoid it, but I think I'm not going to. I'm going to just go ahead. It said, the question is, what is the basic over overall that I have to become a coach? Um, so what is the overall, like, what do you have to do to become a coach is what I think this question is. And you all have seen my roadmap, right? Um, this roadmap, I can't really share my screen. However, I'm going to just give you an overview. So, and if you want the roadmap, you can just in the comments type roadmap, and I will we'll send this to you. All right, but the roadmap is kind of like just spells out every single step. But the way that I do it, and the way I do it through the certification program, is I first have you work on yourself for 3 months. And while you're working on yourself, you're also learning about coaching. So that is the first step. That is the way of healing. All right. And then once you are done with the way of healing, so by the time you're done with the way of healing, that's the first pathway. And that's where we spend about 3 months. You've learned shadow work, you've learned about triggers, you've learned about emotions, okay? You've learned about the inner child, you've learned about coping mechanisms, you've learned about belief systems, you know how they work, you've been working on that for yourself, and you are learning how to create exercises and ways to help people transform themselves in their mind and in their emotions, okay? That's all in Pathway 1. We spend 3 months doing that. Then in pathway 2, I call that the way of service, okay? That is when you start looking at, okay, I learned all this. I now have to apply this to a real person. So this is when you figure out who your ideal client is, and then you are going to create a program for them, right? So you're going to figure out, how is it that I'm going to serve this person that needs my help, okay? Then what you have to do, that's the next step, pathway 3, is to create an offering. You have to create something that will help them transform. So you need to create a program, like, how am I going to get you from point A to point B, right? How am I going to get you from pain to thriving? How am I going to get you from barely surviving to thriving? Okay, that's the job of a life coach. So that is the way of offering. We create that program in pathway 3. All right. Then the next thing you have to do is set up all your assets. You set up your website, your Facebook profile, all the things that you're going to put out in the world to show people who you are and what you do. Then the last thing you do is you launch it, and that's a summary of all the steps that you need to take in order to become a spiritual life coach. All right? Very good. All right, so let's see. I'm going to take just one more question. I'm going to do one more question. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. What does your day look like from beginning to end as a spiritual life coach? That's a good question. Look, so I just answered this question for my last strategy session. So I like to get up early in the morning because I'm an early morning person. So I wake up at like 4 o'clock every morning, and I meditate. I do my yoga, move my body, exercise, um, journal, all that stuff I do during the first 2.5 hours. So from 4 o'clock till about 6:30, it's just me and my spirit guides. I'm praying, I'm contemplating, I'm working with my higher self, my future self, all that stuff. Then from 6:30 till about 8:30, I like to work on my business, doing things like writing, um, doing administrative stuff, uh, doing the behind the scenes stuff that people don't see, but they feel, right? So, writing out a blog, you know, writing out, scripting my videos or whatever it is I'm going to do. All that kind of stuff gets done from 6:30 to 8:30. Then I have breakfast, uh, take the dog out, hang out with my friends, go get coffee, you know, be social. Look, here's the thing. When you're an entrepreneur, you get to do your day the way you want to do your day. And my working system might be very different than yours. Like some people are night owls. Like one of my clients, she's also like a really high powered entrepreneur. She does not, her day does not start before 10 o'clock because she is a night owl. Like, you know, we do our sessions, we were doing our sessions at 2 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. She's like, let's do it. I want to do it. That's going to be the last thing I do at night. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic because she's a night owl and it worked for her. Um, so for me, between 10 a.m. and 4 is kind of just open for me to do whatever I want. I'm usually doing writing and, meditating on ideas. I'm an entrepreneur from my heart, so I tend to spend a lot of time with my business, thinking about stuff, dreaming, imagining, putting together programs, creating content, visioning things. I just, it's my passion. I love it. Um, and then from 5 o'clock, sorry, I start seeing clients around 2 o'clock until 7, something like that, right? And I usually am seeing clients or doing classes. Currently, I think actually time with clients one-on-one or in with classes one-on-one, I probably do about 15 to 20 hours of teaching and interacting with people. And again, that's my choice because I love it. But you get to do it your way. I shut most things down though by 7 o'clock every night. I'm not doing anything after 7 o'clock except, going out to dinner or, you know, doing whatever people do at night. I tend to have I'm very social. I love my friends and spending time with people. And also living in Paris, it makes it really easy, especially during the summer. Being out in the evening is just lovely. It's still really light at 8 o'clock at night. It looks like it looks right now at 8 o'clock at night. Right now it's 5:30, but it's going to look like this at 8:30 as well. So at least for another few weeks. All right. So there you go. So let me just check and see if there's anyone if there are any questions for me here. Thanks for doing all that tagging, friends. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad when people can come and join me here. Thank you. All right, so it looks like I don't have any questions in the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you all so much for joining me, and thank you so much for joining during this entire time that we did this challenge. It was 8 days of content, so thank you for participating. And I do want to let you know that if you want to book a strategy call with me, we'll put a link in the comments, all right? So we can talk about your next step so that you can become a badass butterfly spiritual life coach. All right. All right. Crystalline is signing off, y'all. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.